now from the IBA at Winchester, engineering announcements for the radio and television trade.
Hello and welcome to the IBA's Tuesday Bulletin of Engineering Announcements for the radio and television trade. The latest figures for VCR deliveries are down. We look at the reasons together with the cable and satellite implications.
In transmitter news, the latest additions to the Channel 4 network, special announcements for established services, and full details of 5 new television relays. In the north of England, Pooley Bridge and Blackburn. In the Strathclyde district of Scotland, Gairloch Head. In South Wales, Newport Bay, and in the Forest of Dean, Park End. Also, we've an invitation for members of the trade to join us for the day here at Crawley Court.
We all knew that the phenomenal boom in video recorders just couldn't go on forever. Sure enough, it looks as though saturation levels are being reached. Our man with a finger on the pulse is Pat Hawker, and Paul Capel asked him if VCR sales were beginning to tail off.
Well, I've got the latest Bremer figures, which cover the first quarter of the year, and that certainly shows a continued decline. In fact, the deliveries to the trade are listed as just about 300,000 compared to 550,000 in the corresponding quarter last year, which is something like 44% down.
That's rather worrying, actually. Is there any particular reason for that?
Well, Bremer themselves give several reasons. They say that the dealers are trying to reduce stocks, but they also point out that that quite a lot of machines now are being sort of bought back by people who've been renting them, and they are now able to rent these machines again to a new customer, so they don't require a new machine. But of course, that could be quite a serious factor if you get what is called at least on cables, it's called a churn factor coming up, in which people are hiring them for a period of time and then giving them in.
Is there an indication of whether VHS is still the dominant format, Pat?
Oh, this seems to be dominant these days, but one doesn't get the impression that that is having any great influence on the market. I don't think people will put off a machine by its format, but certainly VHS still seems to dominate.
Do you think that these figures have much implication for the introduction of cable?
Well, they could do. Certainly, if this sort of churn idea develops. You see, one of the problems that video machines and cable both face is that the supply of really attractive sort of first-rate movie films is limited, and that people can see quite a lot in a fairly short period of time and then decide, well, maybe we'll give it up for 3 months or 6 months and then come back again when there's a different supply of films available. Now, if that was to develop in any great extent in cable, it could completely ruin the economics of the cable operation.
On the other hand, couldn't cable and satellite television actually give a boost to sales of VCRs? I mean, if people have more channels to choose from, they may want to hire or buy one.
Well, of course, this is the old problem, is how much of the time are people taking VCR as a delay device, as a means of recording programs off air without questioning too far whether that's illegal or legal, and how many people are using it for pre-recorded material, for films and so on. There was some evidence a year ago that, in fact, people were using film libraries, tape libraries, much more than they had done at the beginning, which seemed to suggest that their use for delay devices was rather diminishing rather than the opposite.
And finally, Pat, is there an indication of the trend to come in deliveries of VCRs?
Well, all I can say at the moment is it's still staying fairly low compared to a year or 2 years ago. On the other hand, of course, it is, don't let's get this wrong, it has been a tremendous boom. We're up to a penetration of getting on for almost a third of homes, which is a fantastic success story by any standards. But it does show that success stories do come to an end.
Well, thank you, Pat Hawker and Paul Capel. Transmitter news now, and firstly the latest on Channel 4 commissioning at existing stations. Last week saw the new service at 2 relays in Northern Ireland, Black Mountain near Belfast and Rostrevor Forest further south in County Down. Official service is from the 3rd of August. Due to have Channel 4 later this week, Tavistock in Devon. About 2,500 people use the station and the channel will be 53. Expected in early August, Henley-on-Thames on Channel 54, Jedburgh in the Borders on Channel 47 and Whitby on Channel 65. Those 3 stations are due in a week or 2.
Special announcements next, and Durris continues on reduced power from the reserve transmitting aerial. Rigging equipment for installation of the new aerial is currently being set up, and some interruptions to service are possible this week.
In Scotland, Rothesay continues on reduced power with occasional morning interruptions to allow aerial maintenance. The work is due to be completed before the end of the month.
Off today until noon, the Hertford, Glossop and Bassenthwaite relays, again for aerial maintenance, hopefully with no further interruptions necessary. The interruption at Bassenthwaite also affects Keswick and Threlkeld.
In Lancashire, Bacup is scheduled off today, tomorrow and Thursday between dawn and midday. This is for mast maintenance.
Back to the Lake District, and Coniston is off today until about 3:30 this afternoon. This is for maintenance on the electricity supply. For the same reason, Maesteg in South Wales is also scheduled off today until about 2 p.m.
In Derbyshire, Ladder Hill will be off tomorrow, Thursday and Friday from dawn until about 10:30 a.m, while the protective aerial shield is painted.
In the Borders, Cambret Hill is due to be off tomorrow afternoon from 1:30 until 4 o'clock during a mains interruption. This also affects dependent relays at Stranraer, Port Patrick, Creetown, Kirkcudbright, Glenluce, Pinwerry and Ballantrae.
Near High Wycombe in Buckinghamshire, the Hughenden relay will be off tomorrow until noon. This is for a single period of aerial maintenance.
And in the West Midlands, Hasler Hill is due off tomorrow between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. during maintenance on the main supply.
New relays now, and in Cumbria, Pooley Bridge began transmissions last week. The station is for about 500 people living around the northern end of Ullswater, including part of Pooley Bridge, Dalemain, Ray and Watermillock. The channel for border television and TVAM is 46, with channel 4 on 50. Aerials must be Group B types and vertically polarised. That's Pooley Bridge in the Lake District, now on the air and due in official service this Friday.
In Lancashire, a new relay is on the air this week for part of Blackburn. The transmitter is just north of school playing fields in Shadsworth and is intended to serve over 1,300 people in 2 specific areas of Blackburn. One area is between Queen's Park and Park Place, and the other just north of the transmitter around Accrington Road. Granada Television and TVAM are on Channel 41, with Channel 4 on 47 right from the start. Group B aerials will therefore be needed vertically polarised. That's the Blackburn relay in Lancashire on the air this week.
In Scotland, near Helensburgh, the Gairloch Head relay is due later this week. It's to serve almost 1,600 people in Gairloch Head itself, and also an area just south of Faslane Bay, including the submarine base. Scottish Television and TVAM will be on Channel 41, with Channel 4 on 47 from the outset. The aerial to use is a Group B type, mounted with the elements vertical. The new relay at Gairloch Head is expected to open in a few days' time.
Due in early August is Newport Bay in South Wales. The service area includes the western part of Newport, extending further west for a couple of miles. Also covered is a rural area to the southeast. Programmes from HTV Wales and TVAM will be on Channel 60, with S4C on 67. Vertically polarised Group CD aerials should be used. Newport Bay is due on the air in a week or 2.
As indeed is Park End, near Lydney in Gloucestershire. Here the new relay is designed to cover about 250 people in Park End itself and in the immediately surrounding area. HTV West and TVAM will be on Channel 41, with Channel 4 on 47. Group B aerials will be needed vertically polarised. That's the new relay for Park End in the Forest of Dean, due on the air in a week or 2.
An invitation now for members of the trade to visit us here at Crawley Court. From time to time we organise daytime visits which include an illustrated talk and discussion, free lunch and refreshments, and a look round some of the more interesting parts of the building. Small groups or individuals can apply for our next visit on the 17th of August by ringing Diana Cousins on Winchester 822 403, or you can write to her at our usual address. Engineering Information Service, Independent Broadcasting Authority, Crawley Court, Winchester, Hampshire, postcode SO21 2QA.
Our regular inquiries number is Winchester 822 444, but if you're in the London area it may be cheaper to ring our Brompton Road number. That's 584 7011. in which case ask to be put through to engineering information here at Winchester.
Before we go, if you've noticed that the access time on Channel 4 Oracle has just speeded up, it's because the service is now running on 6 data lines per field instead of 4, bringing it into line with ITV. There are plans to go beyond even 6, but that's a matter for the future.
Well, we hope you'll be able to join us again next Tuesday at 9:15 or 12:15. So until then, from Bruce Randall and myself, Janet Smythe, and all of us here at Crawley Court, goodbye for now.